Hey everyone, welcome to the Otherz Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Penny, back after yet another long hiatus. I think the last podcast was back in the summer when we had the In Search of 20th anniversary, so it has been quite a while. But yes, hopefully getting back into a more regular recording schedule now. And we are back with a new track and a new guest. Joining me this week from, and I've just completely forgot where you said you're from, Chris. Hang on, let me guess.
Chicago.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, Chris Morales. How you doing, man? You good?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm feeling good. I feel happy to be on a platform that's, based around this culture that I love. So.
Good, man. Well, we're glad to have you. Love having new guests on there, getting everyone's differing points of views. So, yeah, let's see what we get into. So this week we're going to talk about change clothes.
Absolutely.
This was your choice from the short list that I gave you. Any particular reason you fancied this one?
I have to say, so the Black Album in general is a pretty historic album in its own right. But I think it was just an amalgamation of just, a lot of great people at the top of their game, all aligning, all the planets aligned. And, this is what came out. So, yeah, I love the album. It's great. It's classic.
Definitely. So this was the first single from, as you said, the Black Album. The video, I don't know if the single was released at the same time, but the video I think was around the 4th of November 2003. So that's just a little while after Front In, a few months before Drop It Like It's Hot. So like you say, a real kind of key time for Pharrell and the Neptunes there, with some huge hits going on at that time. This track peaked at number 10 on the US Billboard Hot 100, so not too bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Hit number 3 in Belgium. What else have we got? UK 32, not great there, but not a bad sort of lead single for the album. I guess off of the Black Album, there is obviously a multitude of tracks you could have picked for a first single to lead that, because it has kind of bangers all the way through, basically.
Yeah.
I'd say as well, it annoys me slightly. I think I might mention this on the podcast before. I have a signed copy of the Black Album back in the UK in a really nice frame and everything, with like the certificate and all that kind of thing. And it pains me to this day that I don't have it here in Finland with me up on the wall.
Oh, man.
I need to get that shipped over at some point.
Yeah, that's major, man. That you even have that. That's crazy.
I think I paid a small fortune for it. So this was back in the day, in the early 2000s, when like Universal Records used to do like a limited run of 100 or 150 like signed copies of certain albums. And they would put it on eBay, and you could bid on like, all 150 listings. And obviously I think the money would go to charity, or the profits would go to charity, or something like that. And over the years, I amassed kind of quite a few of them. So I've got like the College Dropout signed by Kanye, obviously the Black Album. Next to me here, there's a James Brown one, P. Diddy album, Jadakiss. A few that I got rid of. I think I've got 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying as well, back in the UK. Then over the years, I bought some and sold a few as well. So I had, what should I get rid of? Nellyville. I had Framed and then got rid of that. And then one big regret is I had, which album was it? D12 World, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously signed by all of D12, including Proof, including Eminem. And then I ended up selling it and getting rid of it stupidly.
Yeah.
That's one I wish I'd kept.
Yeah, with that Proof signature, man. It's probably that's like a relic,
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, to have this Jay-Z one is, well, I was going to say the pride of my collection. It probably is, actually. It's one of the rarest. And like I say, I think I paid a small fortune for it at the time, around sort of 2003. I don't imagine how much I actually did pay for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it was worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was worth it. Had it framed. It looks nice. Just a shame it's in a loft or an attic, about 1,200 miles away from where I actually live.
Yeah, yeah.
But one day I'll sort it out.
Yeah.
So let's have a chat about the video. So again, let's talk about some basic stats. So the videos were only uploaded onto Jay-Z's YouTube channel, years and years later. I don't think he had a channel for quite a while. But between the edited and unedited versions, it's got about 20 million views. What I did find interesting is there's an edited and unedited version. I think the unedited just shows some parts of the video that are blurred out in the edited version,
Yeah.
but it still uses the radio version of the audio, which I thought was a bit strange. You know, if you're going to make an unedited version, then, you know, use the album version that has the cursing in it and stuff, but no.
Yeah.
And then the video itself, quite a simple premise, I guess. A fashion show with Pharrell sat catwalk alongside the catwalk, pulling models from the catwalk as they go down.
Yeah.
And then, you know, sort of Jay doing his thing. Like I say, in this video, it doesn't look dated, but it looks of its time, I guess, of the early kind of 2000s, especially the kind of fashion that's involved in the fashion show and the styling of it and stuff like that. It is where we, again, see some early BBC pieces. So we've got Pharrell in the Bape Generals hoodie, the grey one that he was rocking a lot at the time, and I think he's also wearing that in the Black Album documentary when he's in the studio as well.
Yeah.
He's got I think they're the Bape camo combat pants as well. And he's got the skateboard chain and pendant, classic piece of jewelry, and then we get a peek of the white BBC Season 0, in fact, hat.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that was
one early BBC piece in there.
That was a subtle nod to that hat because it only came in for like maybe one frame. So
yeah, I think he literally kind of puts it on, pulls it down, and that's it, and that's all you kind of see of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got the white version on, if I remember correctly. And if I also remember correctly, yeah, there were even more limited white versions. So obviously there was like a denim version, a blue. There was the brown version, which I've got one of here somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. And then I don't think there were any other ones publicly released. And I want to say the white was a friends and family version, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing any white ones available for sale. If anyone out there has one, then do let me know for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely want to see it.
Yeah. So the video itself starts with Jay-Z kind of getting out of his car, walking a red carpet, going to this venue, to this event, and then a very, very awkward kind of conversation with someone who's playing a reporter there. I'm not a fan of these kinds of things in music videos.
Yeah.
I tend to find they don't hire the best actors, and they also, musicians aren't always the best actors themselves either. So I find that kind of interaction comes across a little bit awkward and cringeworthy with the guy, asking him a question. I think he says something like, "Is this definitely your last album?" And Jake says like, "Yes." And then sort of tries to make some kind of joke like, "Are you coming in as well?" And the guy says, "I wish," or whatever it is. And then Jay says, "Nope," and walks off. And it's like, it's a quirky little quip that he makes, but it does come across as a little bit kind of awkward and stilted from at least one of them who isn't an actual actor.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny.
So then obviously we get into the video, we get into the fashion show. Like I say, it's a fairly sort of simplistic premise of, lots of models, including, Naomi Campbell. Who else is there? Kimora Lee Simmons, Jessica White, and various other models as well, and also some cameos from, you got Memphis Bleak in there, Beanie Siegel strutting the catwalk at the end as well at one point, Mos Def in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just turns into one big kind of a fashion show. So give me what are your thoughts on the video itself as a whole?
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely of its time. Some of the few key things that I saw, that reminded me of that is just like, off rip, as soon as he pulls up, he's coming out of a Maybach. Definitely of its time. I think the Maybach came out in like the early 2000s, so it's definitely a big flex for Mercedes.
Yeah, there's a Maybach reference in the track as well.
Yeah. He definitely, makes it a point to make a reference to that. I guess we got to be in a different tax bracket to make those kind of lines, But yeah, it's just, it's a really, fly video. Very feel good. Like you said, that the track came out November 4th. I think the album came out November 14th or something like that. So it definitely gives me like a holiday vibe. Whenever I hear that album, it really is nostalgic to that time and that feel of, some holiday feel. Because I know over here, in Chicago and with my family, like we're big, hip hop heads. So that was a big deal when that album dropped. I'm sure it was a big deal for everybody. It was his, quote unquote last album.
Yeah.
So, it was definitely a big deal. And to, have, everybody on that album, every, major producer, and then having, Pharrell do two, that's incredible. Like that's unheard of, especially on, someone's, last album. But as far as the video goes, yeah, like you said, it's just like of the time, what I remember is just like pinstripes everywhere. Like
that's what I noticed. Those kind of oversized button-up shirts that Jay had moved into at that time that were kind of becoming the fashion and part of his kind of dress staple as well.
Yeah,
and some really interesting kind of colorways in the shirts as well.
Oh yeah. I don't know if pinstripes hit heavy, in the UK, but over here, like people were definitely wearing that. So he definitely he's a trendsetter in that right.
I did read, I'm going to try and find it now quickly while we're talking about it, because I did see a quote, and I don't know kind of quite how true this is. Bear with me while I find it. So this is on Genius, genius.com, on this track. And it says, the song is an ode to dressing better and losing throwback jerseys, a message so powerful that it actually had NBA Commissioner David Stern himself begging Hove to tell people to change clothes back after a decline in jersey sales.
Oh wow!
Now I'm not sure it was Jay himself that forced in this song that kind of forced the decline in jersey sales. I think it was probably more of a trend that was kind of happening in fashion anyway.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone kind of comes out and says that and kind of references the track as well is quite a big thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're doing something right when you got NBA commissioner asking you like, "Hey, can you stop doing what you're doing because you're hurting our sales?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's funny now because Jay's I don't know if he's still partial owner of Brooklyn. I think he's like a 1%er. He barely has a percentage of the team, but
I think it's less than that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny nonetheless. Now I know he's part of an NBA team or franchise. So it's crazy. But yeah, it's another thing that how you were saying like everyone had their signature looks. You mentioned the Bape General hoodie that P had on. The one thing that I take away from that video is P's Princess Anne High School Letterman. That incredible. Like that's so synonymous and just especially with the whole VA area. That was just a great piece that he would always wear. It kind of sucks that he never like maybe did like a collab with the school along with BBC just to add like an actual full size run. That'd have been crazy. But.
Yeah, I've always thought that because they've obviously produced a lot of sort of varsity and Letterman jackets over the years, and I was going to say some of them take influence now. We've seen it in some of the colorways of some of the jackets and stuff they do, all that kind of the red and the white and stuff, and I'm sure that probably came from that Princess Anne jacket or inspired it at least partly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always thought he would in the past would do a version of it of some kind.
Yeah.
Or collaborate with them for some kind of special anniversary to produce it for other people perhaps or students.
Yeah. But I guess we'll never know, It'll be his own, his piece. Something that he carries with him for the rest of that's exclusive to just him.
Yeah. We also get there's a BBC reference later in the track as well. And again, the line kind of I can't even say the word, juxtapose. Oh, I can't speak now. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
To what Jay is wearing. So there's the BBC reference, or he says, or I might be tailored up.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he sat there wearing a really oversized pinstripe button up with the baggy jeans, probably, I'm guessing, with S dots on his feet as well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of somewhat ironic, I thought, as he said that like nobody looked like they'd been to see a tailor in that music video.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, it's kind of, of the time, you said, like you said, of the time, everyone's wearing like 2X bigger than what they usually wear. So yeah, it was a wild time.
But I guess that was kind of that period where, Jay was becoming, he was trying to move away, almost move away from being a, quote unquote rapper and into, the businessman that, we kind of know him for
Yeah.
as now. So he was trying to be more grown, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
seem more professional. Because, he references stuff like that in quite a few tracks in terms of, his shoes, his cufflinks, his monogrammed shirts, and then obviously, talk of, the Maybach and how he doesn't have, rims anymore, how he has like the stock wheels because they're worth so much anyway. He doesn't need or want rims.
Yeah, yeah.
He has this kind of, just, he leaves it like a, as he kind of says, like a grown up would.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He definitely like. I guess the dynamic that P and Jay had was like always this like grown and sexy type of feel. They kind of like cemented that as like their sound. So for Jay-Z to kind of double down on that and then enter the business realm and carry that over, like this, grown and, put together persona, there's no wonder why he is where he is, because I feel like he had that way before, anybody ever thought of making it like cool, doing the business side of it. Because honestly, like, there's plenty of people that have done ventures of that during that era, but with Dame Dash and all of them. But Jay did it in a way that was like, I guess, yeah, like genreless or like genre bending, where he was able to kind of navigate through the bigger space of like, finance and business. That's a really hard thing to do, especially coming, from the rap world. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And you mentioned Dame Dash there. Dame makes a brief cameo appearance, unsurprisingly, with some product placement of, I think it's Armadale vodka he's got, which
Yeah.
I think Jay at least used to have shares in. But yeah, it's like it's around that time where Jay is kind of moving into that business world, and obviously he's already a big deal at that time. Like it was meant to be his last album. It was a big kind of fanfare exit from the music business and into other business. Obviously, I think it was inevitable that he would come back anyway.
Yeah.
But you look at all the kind of stuff he's been doing alongside the music as well over the years. It's it's incredible for someone to go from where he's from to navigating the music business and Def Jam and Rockefeller, and then to kind of start up his own investment firm, and not just start chucking his money into different ventures, but actually really smartly investing, and actually making a lot of money back off of that. It's like you mentioned earlier with the Brooklyn Nets franchise.
Yeah,
that's been kind of great for him, great for them. They've obviously they play the Barclay, is it the Barclays Center?
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of that kind of investment and stuff comes from having someone like him alongside the brand and stuff like that. So yeah, he's been doing obviously huge things, and this is where you kind of really start to see him move into that.
Yeah, and it at the time, I know BBC at the time was kind of just starting with Bape. That's I peeped your sample, your Bape BBC sample, the Polo, incredible. Like I don't know how you got that, but it's crazy. But yeah,
there's not many of them around.
Yeah. But yeah, like at the time, so the business deal with Rockefeller, or not Rockefeller, what was the clothing brand called? Rockaware. That's how the deal went in with Rockaware and BBC. So Rockaware started to take over BBC manufacturing. So like all the stars aligned. So not only are they doing music together, they're in the business realm too. So it's like this big umbrella of just business and enterprise, and it's incredible.
Yeah, and there's some weird kind of crossovers there. like you say, there's also the kind of Reebok crossover. Reebok were doing stuff with Rockaware, doing the S dots. Obviously, they were making the ice creams for BBC Ice Cream, and obviously they were then meant to go on and make the ice cream clothing brand, which never happened because of the falling out with Reebok.
Mm-hmm.
But then, years down the line, you have Iconics going in and buying, a large chunk of Rockaware and distributing it in, every store on the planet, essentially, low and high market. And then they did the same with BBC. They went in there and bought, the majority of shares from Pharrell and Nego, and BBC went from being a kind of high end exclusive brand to finding it in every department store on the planet almost.
Yeah.
Luckily, I think BBC have kind of pulled that back a little bit over the last sort of 5 years or so.
Yeah.
In the US, there's still obviously much more of a top of the kind of mainstream brands. They're not kind of, I personally wouldn't consider them kind of high end fashion in the US, but then you look at the stuff they do in Japan and obviously the EU, which is kind of the luxury arm of the brand now, and they're still kind of pushing that now. And they've made a good comeback, but it's been interesting to see kind of all those crossovers over the years with BBC, Reebok, Rockaware, and obviously Jay and Pharrell.
Yeah. That like you said, that this these collabs, they happen organically because everyone's kind of part of the culture and they just want to see each other win in any way. So whatever way they can facilitate that win and that vision, it's incredible to see. And it just reminds me of that time where that was more of a common thing, where you saw these buyouts and overlaps and things of that nature. You don't really see that too much now, especially in the fashion world. But yeah, it was just it was cool to see. It makes me happy to know that that was a really important time in music history, fashion history. Yeah, and it birthed a lot of new business models. Not I would say new, but it birthed a lot of people using that model to start their own brands. The Tylers, the Golf Wangs, and things of that nature. They all use that same model. So yeah, thanks to Pharrell and Jay and Nego and all those guys for that. Because we wouldn't have half the brands we have now. If especially
definitely
third party guys. Like if you're not in the the Nikes or the Adidas of the game, it's really hard to kind of break through. But they showed that you could do that on a more smaller scale.
Yeah, definitely. And BBC obviously had help from Bape, who had kind of established themselves over the kind of couple of years before, and obviously help from Reebok. But they were essentially doing it themselves. They were a small operation. And I think Philip has told the story a few times in different interviews and podcasts. But when they set up the BBC web store, it was him and Loic in, I think, Loic's mum's antique store basement, hand packing, hand shipping out all the orders that they were getting and stuff.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just, grew and grew, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. What else have we got with the track? Let's try and round that up.
Okay.
I think it's one of those tracks where I'd call it like an easy listening track. It's one of those tracks you can kind of stick on in the background and sing along to it, rap along to it, whatever you kind of want to do. There's nothing overly complicated in it.
Mm-hmm.
The hook itself is quite sort of simplistic, and kind of quite catchy. Lyrically, I wouldn't say it's Jay's best work.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of quite simplistic. There's a couple of little bits of wordplay in it that I quite liked, and again, they're nothing special,
Mm-hmm.
but I just quite like them. There's the gotta keep a peace like a Buddhist, and then the I ain't a new Jack, nobody gonna Wesley Stipe me, which I think are lines or references that have been made in other tracks in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not groundbreaking, but I just think they fit into the song quite well, and they always kind of stand out to me.
Yeah, definitely. The wordplay that he uses is second to none. Pharrell said it best. Like the way he blacked out on Reasonable Doubt or Dead Presidents. Like Pharrell's right. Like you don't get that very often, and especially the fact that he doesn't write. that's incredible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but yeah, definitely a bunch of hot lines on that track. And some of the lines are like deeper in meaning, but like the delivery is so like simple and like to the point. But you kind of have to like read through the lines and you're like, oh, I get it now. Very subliminal.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even in Jay's kind of I don't know quite how to phrase it. Not his weaker work, but stuff like this, stuff that does come across as a bit more simplistic, a bit more poppy, I would guess.
Yeah,
Not like real kind of hardcore hip hop tracks or real kind of club tracks or anything. It's there is still wordplay in there. There are still, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think what it is now. But like I say, the wordplay and the synonyms and like I say, the sort of subliminal kind of messages and sort of things in there as well.
yeah,
There's always something in there in a track.
yeah, definitely. And you kind of said like there's parts where he kind of like does a lot of switch ups or kind of changes his bounce a little bit, and those are the moments where those lines come out. Like, so he kind of wants to make them stick. Like he'll switch up the flow just so you get that that one point, and he does it so effortlessly and flawlessly. Like Jay has a really good way of like pocketing himself in the beat.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to like really dissect and know where he should be. There's a lot of artists that can rap, but they obviously more so they're the forefront. Jay's an accompaniment like of this very grandiose track. Like he just knows where to be. That's a really great skill.
Yeah, that's how you can tell not just a good rapper, a good musician,
Yeah,
a good lyricist from an average one. An average rapper will just can have a beat and can just rhyme over the top of it, in time to the beat, and maybe have some great wordplay in there or whatever it might be. But like you say, Jay kind of knows how he fits into the beat itself. He knows how to be an instrument almost himself to kind of fit into, like you say, those pockets and work around the kind of the parts of the music that he wants people to hear or think should hear as well.
yeah,
And I think, that's been one of his kind of great skills over the years as well, being able to kind of do that. And that's what makes, even now when, he puts out music, it still sounds, a lot of it still sounds, fresh.
mm-hmm.
And you go back to the really old stuff, and the old stuff doesn't sound dated. That still sounds fresh as well.
Yeah,
And that's because he has that kind of masterful way of putting his lyrics together and actually embodying them and embedding them into a track.
Yeah. I remember Jay saying in the Fade to Black that you meet these people. Obviously speaking of Pharrell and Chad, you meet these people and like when there's synergy there. You may not know, you may have not have worked with them, previous or like had a large relationship over time. Sometimes you just meet these people and create these amazing things. Yeah, it's really hard to come by music because it's so saturated. So when you do find those people, it really means a lot to the best work that you can and do it at the highest level possible. And obviously they've shown that time and time again.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why whenever there's a kind of a new J project that drops or a new album, the first thing I want to know is there a Neptune's track on there?
Yeah, like it's almost like honestly, usually that's if I see a certain artist or even if there's even talks of an artist even hinting at the fact that they worked with the Neptunes, I'm on it, like just to even see. And how you said that where it still sounds fresh, P's been able to do that consistently too, and do it in ways that are very like left and kind of like unorthodox. It's a really hard skill. Like the stuff he did, Happy, just in case in point, Happy. Like you went from creating the most like grimy, like almost like dirty drug reference tracks for Pusha T, and then you go to all the way to the extreme of
he go from like Pusha to N.E.R.D to Jay, whoever it may be, and then sort of flip it like that and bring us Happy and It Girl and real kind of poppy crossover tracks, but they still appeal.
Yeah,
they still appeal to even us that are probably big hip hop fans.
Yeah.
And then they appeal to kids and grandparents and all that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
It's it's a big skill to be able to do that.
Yeah. And you spoke to the point of like kind of like this timeless feel. And Pharrell's production, and also just him as kind of in general, like him as a celebrity, or this persona that he puts on or has. It is timeless. Like he is timeless, whether it be like his physical being. Like we all know this man's a vampire. He doesn't age. So yeah, like he's able to cross those barriers of like generational gaps. What people would see him as like, oh, these are big gaps. Pharrell does it seamlessly. Like I know plenty of kids that look to Pharrell now. It's 2022 or almost gonna be 2022. Like that's incredible to have that range and that that pool. Yeah.
And that's what I still find amazing. It's like, I'm nearly 40 and I still have kids that are like 18, 19, 20, like messaging me like, hey, can you help me find this BBC piece from, 2005 or commenting on, OG pieces that I have, or hitting me up to try and buy a pair of sneakers or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that, most of these kids, this track we're talking about is nearly 20 years old.
Yeah.
Some of these kids that message me and want to buy a pair of ice creams, they weren't even born when this track came out.
Yeah, but it still carries, and they feel it. They feel that. Like that's an undeniable thing when you feel it in your soul and in your heart. Like that bounce gets you moving. That's universal. Like it's ageless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with this track.
And it's what I always kind of compare like Pharrell to kind of the music that Quincy Jones made with Michael.
Yeah.
Like even though I'm like old as fuck now, like a lot of Michael stuff was made before I was born.
Yeah.
And I grew up listening to that. And even now, 50 years on from when it was made, some of that stuff it still gets played in clubs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can go to a club or a bar and they're still playing Jackson. Yeah, a Jackson 5 track will still come on, and everybody in there will know it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, but I guess we can kind of say like so we have these people in this space that obviously birth other people. So Michael, Stevie, Prince, they birth these sounds. The New Jack Swing birthed Chad and P, and then Chad and P birthed the internet and Tyler and people of that nature. So it's like we have this like sustainability in music that carries over genre ages and ages and ages and decades, and it never gets old because it's like tried, true, and tested. And Chad and Pharrell and especially Chad and Pharrell with Jay like have this ability to kind of like have that sustainability and just keep reaching new heights, and it's incredible to see, man.
There are certain artists, Pharrell, the Neptunes being one of them or two of them, however you want to put it. They're kind of the backbone to music. You mentioned earlier, music now is so saturated. Anyone can make a beat, anyone can make a track, anyone can make 30 seconds that are really, really catchy, and it becomes popular on TikTok or wherever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But then 6 months or a year later, they're nowhere.
Yeah.
Or there's 30 other versions of them.
Yeah.
Whereas Pharrell and Chad and Michael, Quincy, Prince, Stevie, whoever it may be, they will just kind of live on forever and kind of continue to inspire, no matter what.
Yeah. They'll definitely live on in infamy, and their music will kind of, like, I would say, outlast them in a way. It sounds cryptic, but but yeah, like it's the music's definitely synonymous not only with the person, but also the time and feel of society at the time or culture, just how it swings and has this very like engulfing effect where it brings people in over and over and over and over. You know,
Yeah.
I know this is off topic, but like Silk Sonic in general, like they came out with an album, probably one of the most incredible albums I've heard in like 20 years. But they came out like this year. It's like there's still a space for that for those type of people. And you know, case in point, Pharrell is one of those people. There's still a space for him. There's still, you know, he's able to jump when they say jump. And he said it himself, like he likes to get in and get out, like get it while it's hot, and he disappears. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that, you know, the likes of, In Search Of is 20 years old already, and it's still getting played, and it will still be getting played in 50 years' time, as will Front In and Happy and, you know, hundreds of other tracks that they've worked on, produced, featured on, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Like Front, for instance, has a TikTok dance. Like that's incredible. Like you got, you know, kids, you know, 10 or 11 years old doing this TikTok dance. They probably don't know the song, but they know that dance. And they know that groove and that feel.
Definitely. All right, cool. Should we get on to a bit of news, or did you have anything else for Change Clothes?
I just had a few notes for just like I'm a producer, so I just want to take notes as far as like some of the intricate parts of the beat, let alone the actual, like some of the hot lines he had. Just some quick ones. I noticed when I listened recently that the track doesn't have a hi-hat. So all the percussion sections of that beat is what gives it that bounce. I just now noticed that recently. I'm like, man, that track doesn't have a hi-hat. Like, so it gets its bounce.
Okay, I don't think I've ever noticed that, to be honest.
Yeah, that track gets most of its bounce just from the percussion. And then, like you said, it was very simplistic, the way that they carried it, especially with the harmonies. And it's kind of like the main piano chords that are in there. I think Kanye made it a reference to like, or he said it best, meaning like Pharrell and Chad, they have this ability to take gospel music and make it punk. And that, especially with this song, using some crazy gospel chords for the main piano pieces, and then, you know, obviously following around that, you know, it's crazy just to hear it. You know, normally it'd be long drawn out chords, and they kind of just shorten them up. So you're getting the bum 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 bum, and then, you know, they'll follow that with the bass line. The bass line is sparse, but it's efficient. That's why I love the track so much. It's bouncy but very open, and I think that's why Jay-Z, you know, kind of capitalized on that openness. You know, just another hot line that you were saying that kind of hit home, and it was kind of like slept on a little bit. Is he said he and the boy Pharrell make beautiful music. He is to the East Coast what Snoop is to the West Coast what Face is to Houston. Like, that's crazy, because now he's, you know, kind of like referencing influence and in places that you don't live. Like, he, you know, Jay is right. Like, he is the Snoop to the East, and especially with that like bravado kind of braggadocious type of flow. And then, you know, even Pharrell says himself, like, Face is, you know, Babyface, he's, you know, big in the game. Like, he, you know, comes to him all the time for, you know, help or just to kind of run things by him, because Face has so much influence, not only in Houston, but all over the U.S. He's a real integral part of not only the New Jack sound, but, you know, Pharrell and Chad's kind of, you know, entry point into the game, you know. But yeah, I definitely got that from that beat.
I think he's referring to Scarface.
Oh, is he? So
I think so, yeah.
Oh yeah, I get it now.
Point still stands though. But
yeah. Yeah, probably. Like I said, you know, you can listen to the same song and experience it in two different ways.
Yeah.
But the last point I had about the song is like, almost like, I would probably say this song is very, you can call it you know, Excuse Me Miss Part 2. If there was a Part 2. I know that, you know, the video ended with Excuse Me Miss. Obviously he got the girl, but let's say he didn't and there was another girl that he was, you know, trying to get after. I would think Excuse Me Miss would probably be that answer.
I think there was a part 2 of some kind, or there was a video that was labeled that. Yeah, it was the one off of the Bad Boy soundtrack, I think.
Oh yeah, the remix.
That La 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 one.
Yeah. Mm.
I think it's called. Yeah, it's like La La La. Excuse me, miss, again in brackets.
Yeah. That.
But it's a completely different type of track. It's like it's almost opposite to Excuse Me, Miss. But I know what you mean in terms of the way this it sounds, the flow, and that kind of thing. Definitely.
Yeah. That groove is definitely parallel with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's all I got as far as like notes for the. If you want to get to some news, we can do that too.
So yeah, as I mentioned at the start, everyone's pretty well aware. I've been away for a while, so we're not going to go through every bit of news, but let's talk about some of the stuff that's been happening over the last 5 or 6 months. Some of the key things, some of the things, the Neptunes or the Naptunes, as I've typed in my notes here. Correct that, otherwise I'll end up saying it as I read it. So let's start where I left off last time with In Search of 20th Anniversary. I can't remember if I talked about this last time, but there was the Adidas Hugh NMD release for the In Search of 20th Anniversary. Obviously, that came out in the US I think they released around August time, didn't they? In the US, they did a limited drop, also available at BBC, I think. Here in Europe, they were meant to be made available August, October, I think it was, or maybe September, and they never appeared. And then they randomly appeared on the Adidas Confirmed app about 2 weeks ago. So I managed to get a pair from there, as I didn't get a pair the first time around. I was very close to buying a pair from eBay or somewhere else and paying the ridiculous prices that people were charging. But yeah, luckily I managed to get hold of a pair. They're currently sat in a delivery depot in just outside Helsinki somewhere, where they've been for about 5 days. So I haven't got my hands on them yet, but I'm sure I will in the coming days. Are you a fan of the various like Hugh NMDs that they do?
Yeah, I'd probably say my favorite drop so far. I don't get me wrong, I love the In Search of 20th drop, but my favorite would probably be the quilted NMDs that they put out. They're like a white and blue colorway. Yeah, they're like the quilted upper with the raised patchwork on the for the lettering for friends and family. I think they're friends and family editions. I don't think they dropped for general release. Yeah, it's probably my favorite pair as far as the NMDs go. I do like the Solar Hues when they were out.
Solar Hues I'm a big fan of. So comfy.
Oh yeah, they remind me definitely of Ultra Boost, but done in a way that's not. It gives it some flair. Like Ultra Boost is very like monochromatic. They have their look and everyone knows what they are, but they don't add much to the eye. And Solar Hues kind of gave it that pop. Oh man, that's different.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Solar Hues. The thing with the NMDs, I've got about 6 or 7 pairs here, I think, but I can't get my feet into them. They are the worst shoe for just getting on and off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I have a weirdly large ankle of some kind or whatever it is, but yeah, I just find them a nightmare to get on. Whereas the once they're on, they're fine.
Yeah.
And they're a good comfy shoe. But just getting them on and off is an absolute pain in the backside. So I never tend to wear them. But with the Solar Hues, yeah, they seem to fit a lot better. And they are like mad comfy.
Oh yeah.
You could wear them like all day long. And then obviously everyone knows, I'm a big Tennis Hue fan as well. So, I've got 25, 30 pairs of those. And especially in the summer, tend to just live in those.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Stan Smiths, we can't forget about those. I know those are like a later or earlier drop that he's come out with, but I've always loved the silhouette of the Stan Smith. And obviously we all know that ice cream is built on that silhouette. So especially with with the horsehair stuff or pony hair, I should say.
Yeah.
And shout out to King of Creams. He's about to do his drop of the Pharrell packs.
I've got a note here to mention a good friend of the podcast, David. You probably all know him. We can get onto this next piece of news. Obviously, towards the end of the summer, maybe Pharrell was on sneaker shopping on Complex. Didn't buy anything, was obviously just there to promote his own products. But as part of that, they had a range of shoes presented to Pharrell as they discussed various things, including some of the rarer things like the Chanel Pharrells, various other recent releases. They also had a lot of OG ice creams there. They were provided by King of Creams by David. So yeah, big shout out to David there, doing big things with Complex now. He is Pharrell's plug for his own shoe.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, he's got stuff that Fred don't even have or remember. Probably
he does.
I'm sure if you met him, he'd probably be like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, he does literally. There's a few pairs that he does have that I don't think he's kind of really shown off. That they were Pharrell's basically. They've probably been on Pharrell's feet at some point as well.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's probably a lot of stuff here Pharrell probably didn't even realise had been made that David has as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out David. What else? During the summer, I popped back to London for a few days and made the usual trip to BBC EU. Got a few bits and pieces. What did I get? A hoodie of some kind, a crew neck, a couple of t-shirts, just some bits and pieces from their range in the summer. I think the crew neck I got was one of their new ice cream items with the kind of classic cones and bones on the front with the kind of drop shadow behind it. And then, a few other random bits. So I've got to say shout out to Aidan at BBC EU for looking after me as they always do when I kind of pop through and buy some bits. So yeah, thanks Aidan. What else have we got? A few tracks that have come out since the last podcast. I'll try and get through them quite quickly. One that friend of the podcast, Brent, worked on. Rakeem Miles' new track, produced by Chad, with Brent on guitar on the hook. Rakeem, hopefully on the podcast at some point soon. So I'm going to say this again to remind him. But he should be joining us soon in the coming weeks or months. And we can definitely talk about that track. That was one I really liked recently that obviously Chad was involved in and Brent. What else have we got? Summer Walkers, that right there, produced by the Neptunes featuring Pharrell. What else have we got? ASAP Ferg's Green Juice. I don't think that was out last time we did a podcast. So that dropped, as well as quite a nice video that went with it as well.
Yeah, I definitely like the video. It's great.
Yeah, really good visuals on it. There was a Metallica remix album that came out, I think, about a month ago or so. The Neptunes did a remix of Wherever I May Roam. A really good remix, I have to say, as well. Obviously, Metallica, while I appreciate the the music and their legendary status, it's not the sort of thing I tend to listen to, despite living in Finland, the heavy metal capital of the world. But yeah, really good track, really good remix, and one that I have actually been listening to occasionally. And then recently, the track with the French guy, is it Olesan? I think his name is pronounced.
Yeah.
Again, produced by the Neptunes, featuring Pharrell on there. Pharrell has a short verse on there, I think, if I remember rightly. Again, really nice track. Those were kind of the key ones of the last few months. Have I missed anything you can think of?
No, I think you nailed them all pretty much. I know they got some in the works that are about to drop pretty soon, but as far as the grunt of what's been released, yeah, I think you got it.
Yeah, it's been strange. While a lot of people kind of during the pandemic have recorded these very quick albums or tried to push stuff out. Yeah, Pharrell and Chad just seem to have been consistently going along, working with loads and loads of different people, continuing to kind of do what they normally do, mainly in Miami, where kind of Pharrell is based these days, at his home there or in the studio, and they're working with all sorts of people. There's obviously pictures crop up every now and again of them working with a new person. So hoping as we get into 2022, we're going to see a lot more Neptunes features on singles and albums of a kind of quite a wide variety of artists.
Yeah. Oh, I remember one that I think you didn't get. Snow Allegra. That track is incredible. That gave me definitely that nostalgic Neptunes vibe, especially with the harmonies and stuff.
Another really good track. If I remember, I will put a link in the show notes to that and all the other tracks we've mentioned. Back to sneakers and clothing. We've had some human race drops. The Sikona, the latest kind of sneaker from Adidas and Pharrell. We've had a couple of different releases. There was a blue version, a burgundy, and then most recently a shock yellow version. I haven't got my hands on a pair of these yet. They do look, the silhouette, is a nice looking silhouette. Again, as with anything Pharrell puts out, it's a little bit quirky, a little bit different, but I am liking them, so I want to try and get my hands on a pair at some point soon.
Yeah.
What else? We had, and again, I don't remember if we mentioned this on the last podcast, but the Star Trek and Hidden NY first and second drop. The second drop was around 6 or 7 weeks ago. I know both of us are still waiting for stuff that we ordered. I picked up a few bits from the first drop. I think a hoodie and a t-shirt and something else. And I think in the second drop I did the same. I got a hoodie and a t-shirt and maybe some socks or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think you grabbed a couple of bits, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, I ended up picking up like snapback hats. I'm a big hat guy, so that's usually what I get. Usually accessories. I recently picked up an ice cream sweater. Dropped off their last winter drop. I got a sweater here in the States. BBC uses FedEx, so that's just going to be a while as far as shipping. So
try living out in Finland, God.
Oh yeah, I know you have a hard time.
Forever. Yeah, it's this is one of the things that frustrates me about BBC. Yeah, in the US, so I mentioned earlier, they're obviously a bit more mainstream over there, but they're in the last year or so they've been putting out a lot more designs that I really liked, and I'd like to get my hands on. Now I know I can, in theory, reach out to a wide number of people in the US to get them for me or to ship them and stuff like that, but it's such a pain in the backside that I never kind of get around to doing it. But yeah, I really do wish they sort of shipped internationally, not just, the US, and I think they do Canada now as well, don't they? But
yeah,
I don't know if it's really classed as international. I say in air quotes when it's, just across the border. But I wish, I could get hold of stuff a little bit more easily out here, because they've definitely had some nice bits recently, and it's obviously a lot more cost effective than buying stuff from BBC EU, as I mentioned, which is now the kind of luxury arm of the brand and has the luxury prices to go with it as well.
Yeah, I'd say the BBC EU stuff is, you guys are lucky to even get some of that stuff because it's exclusive. It doesn't really drop outside of that flagship. So
yeah, there's some great stuff, really good designs, and I really like what they've done with the brand and reimagining ice cream recently as well, re-releasing that. But yeah, kind of from a price perspective, it's a little bit prohibitive sometimes.
Yeah.
But as I get older now, I'm a little bit more picky with what I buy and sort of spend my money on anyway. And to be fair, while I like a lot of the new stuff, I'd rather be paying similar prices for kind of some of the classic pieces from the early 2000s, sort of as and when I can get my hands on them. But like I say, when I was over there in the summer for a weekend, well, summer, maybe September I went or something, October. So in the autumn, I did grab a few bits because it's kind of the law that I have to when I go over.
Yeah.
Also, talking about Star Trek, again, I can't remember if I mentioned it in the last podcast, so apologies if I am just repeating myself, but we do have the new Star Trek website, startrek.io. So if you are an OG Star Trek fan, you can jump on there to immerse yourself in the forum, like the good old days, like the early 2000s. If you are kind of new to the Neptunes and Star Trek and all that, or you're just a lot younger than the likes of me, and you're not really aware of what the Star Trek forum is, then head over there and register. Back in the day in the early 2000s on the original Star Trek website, that's where all of the Star Trek, all the Pharrell, all the N.E.R.D fans, Neptunes fans would all kind of hang out and chat shit and talk about the new music and about shows and talk about the latest BBC drops and things like that. Yeah, forums have kind of gone off the boil since then, really. Now it's all about other social platforms and Discord and things like that. So the forum's not quite as popping as it used to be. but there's definitely a lot of OGs over there. So, if you did used to hang out on the Star Trek forums, then go and check out the new ones, definitely. And, reacquaint yourself with some of the people you probably ran into about 15, 20 years ago. Other news, more human race products. So they've kind of, over the last sort of few months, been re-upping the various creams and potions that they now sell. That obviously keep Pharrell looking like he's 20, even though he's about to hit 50, I think.
Yeah.
Now you can get I think there's various different, they call them body bars.
Yeah.
They're technically not soap because they don't contain certain things. So yeah, body bars to, wash and hydrate and all that stuff. I've still not got hold of any of the human race products, even though they have started shipping over to Europe. I haven't kind of got around to ordering anything yet. Have you tried any of these products out at all?
Unfortunately, no. Like I haven't really done the amount of research to know where they're selling it outside of just the website in itself. But luckily, Dover Street Market is doing in-house product placement now for human race products. So it's another resource you can use to get your hands on it outside of just the main.
Yeah, I think in the US they did partner with one of the bigger department stores. It was like Barney's or somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of those kind of names, and people will probably now tell me that, Barney's is a really shit, awful department store that would never stock that. But it was to an outsider, it was one of those kind of department chains that people know. So I think you can probably get hold of the products out there somewhere if you don't want to kind of get them online. But yeah, hopefully I will actually get around to ordering some at some point soon.
Yeah, me too.
The last bit of news, I guess, Pharrell is about to hit your cinema screens in about a week's time, I think, 22nd of December. He's appearing as a new character in Sing 2.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the first one. I've got a young kid, so I probably have at some point. And I think he was maybe involved in the first one in some of the music or something, if I remember rightly. But now he has a kind of character part that he's voicing in the second movie, and releasing over the kind of holiday period. So if you're a fan of the first movie or you just want to see Pharrell play, do you know what character he's playing?
To my knowledge, I think it's like a elephant.
That's what I was going to say.
Sure, it's an elephant.
So it might well be. Somebody will message me or correct us in the in the comments later.
Yeah.
But that's the feeling I had as well. So yeah, if you want to see Pharrell be an elephant or some other random animal, then yeah, go and check that out in the sort of coming weeks. And then the final bit of news I had on my news here, on my list here, unfortunately not good news.
Yeah.
Obviously, a few weeks back or a couple of weeks back, the passing of Virgil, I think, kind of came as quite a shock to most people. Very, very sudden. I'm sure there were, people that he was closer to that maybe knew this was on the cards or, could happen at any time. But I think to the wider world, very much a shock. Certainly, he certainly didn't have the, the work ethic of somebody that was, horribly, horribly sick. He was still, jet setting around the world every other day, appearing on podcasts, working, designing new stuff, putting out, new shoes, DJing. He's been doing sort of during the summer as well, as he kind of normally does. So kind of carrying on his normal life while obviously still dealing with, a horrible illness, which, unfortunately took him way too early, just a number of weeks back. So really kind of awful news. One, I guess, kind of nice thing I think that kind of came from this, but came as part of this is at the last Louis Vuitton show in Miami. Obviously, anyone was gathered there to kind of celebrate Virgil, and there's a really nice kind of bit of video of Pharrell and Kanye sitting next to each other with the kids as well, kind of chatting, getting on, and then vibing out to some I think Brazilian music. And just kind of, it was really nice to kind of see them, two kind of legends sat there together, kind of, enjoying themselves at an event like that, where they're obviously celebrating the passing of a good friend of theirs. And appreciating, beautiful music that's being played and getting kind of, really into it. That was kind of quite nice to see. But yeah, obviously, it came as part of the terrible news of everybody, losing Virgil. And again, I know people that kind of know him on a kind of personal level, and it's hit a lot of people, really, really hard because he was, not much older than me, I have to say. He certainly wasn't old at all. So, yeah, really kind of awful news.
Definitely RIP to Virgil, man. Definitely sad to hear the news of his passing, untimely passing. But it really says a lot to who he was as a person. Like for someone to, you know, get up day in day out with a bees like that, and kind of you would never know. And he still has the vision in mind and the work ethic. That's that's incredible, man. Like, and I kind of go back to what you said about the moment with Kanye and Pharrell, kind of like embracing this moment to hear, uh, that Brazilian track. It's like we hear the same, we're listening to the same thing, or we're viewing the same thing, but we have different perspectives on that thing. So a lot of people would probably say like, you know, with Virgil, like, why wouldn't he not tell nobody, or why was he so private? And it's like, honestly, he just wanted to, you know, shake up the world in a way that was like, no one could take that from you. Like, you would live on not only from your contributions, but who you are as a person. And that brilliance.
And I think I don't think there's. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. Yeah, that brilliance is just infectious because there's tons of other kids that are gonna follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, and that's kind of the great thing about Virgil is the legacy he has left behind. I don't think there's a single person out there that could say much of a bad word about him. Like I say, I know people that kind of know him personally. They only say good things. All he cares about was other people. Even in the days leading up to his death, he was still, from stories I saw, he was still messaging people. Just kind of, people that he'd met over the years, people that he would check in with every now and again. He was still messaging them saying like, what's up? What you working on? Tell me what you're doing at the moment. Are you doing that thing we talked about? Are you following your dream and all this kind of stuff? And he was, immense at inspiring people. And he has obviously left a legacy for, other people that don't necessarily come from the fashion industry, let's say, to break down those barriers and actually go into those areas that they want to go into, especially for non-white people as well. High-end fashion has always been rich white people stuff for years and years. Yeah. And he's obviously been one of the people that has really helped kind of start smashing those walls down and actually changing the way that luxury fashion works and how it's perceived and all that kind of thing as well. So he's really left a legacy for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a big thing to go to a major fashion house like Louis Vuitton that's been in business for well over a century, almost 2 centuries now. But just to go to that fashion house and break that wall down, as you said, make a way for people who disproportionately get or that are disproportionately represented. It's incredible, to have somebody that looks different, or just a different, people, minorities don't really get that opportunity sometimes. See him and someone who looks like me or familiar, see him in that position. It was good to see. It was very inspiring. Yeah, it's just it's sad, but at the same point, it's like he almost did, or no, I shouldn't say he almost. He definitely achieved it. Setting out to make sure that somebody would take his place and do even better than what he wanted to do. Feel like they're okay with being like the weirdo or outcast, or do it your way. Like Pharrell said it best. You can do it too.
Yeah, definitely. I remember I read some quotes recently that were kind of pulled up from Pharrell from Virgil in the past, asking him about what his job at kind of Louis Vuitton was, what he was meant to be doing and how he was meant to be leading the menswear team. And his answer a lot of the time to that kind of question would be something along the lines of, my job is just to make sure I'm making room and leaving a space for other young black kids and other minority kids to come into and to work in. So it just seemed that everything he was doing was just, it's for everyone else. He seems a very selfless person. Like I say, the amount of stories I've seen in terms of him, like I say, even when he's about to pass away and probably knew he was about to pass away, contacting people as he normally would and inspiring them and making sure they're okay. And, I don't want to speak for David, but, I know David is kind of, most people will know David supplied some ice creams to him a few years back for a photo shoot he had. And, the stories that, David's kind of told me over the years as to, how nice and welcoming and friendly Virgil was, both when he met him. David said to me recently, I think we were messaging, and he said, he'd never met Virgil. They were there to obviously do a transaction, but he said, Virgil made him feel like family just on the first time of meeting him. And that's the story I hear from a lot of people. And then, over the years, I know Virgil's kept in touch with David and sent him, gift packages every now and again of shoes that were going to drop or samples or whatever it might be, knowing that he was, a big collector and a big fan and advocate of what Virgil was doing. So it just goes to show that, he was out there doing it for everybody else and, not just himself, as a lot of people, as a lot of us do a lot of the time. We concentrate on ourselves and try to, get ourselves through life where we probably could spend more time thinking about helping others, get their way up as well.
And it stings a little bit because he's a fellow Illinoisan. He's from Rockford, which is like maybe like an hour or so from where I live. So it definitely stings.
Let's wrap it up there. I think we've done about an hour or so without looking at the clock. I think we've covered pretty much everything, unless there was anything else you wanted to talk about.
No, man. I'm good.
Good stuff. All right. Well, everyone, you can go to the usual places to find the podcast. You can stream it and get all the show notes from the website, the Otherz.net. You can follow us on all the usual social media platforms at Otherz Podcast. You can find me online pretty much everywhere at Steve R. Penny. If I remember, all the things we talked about will be in the show notes. So whatever kind of podcast player you're using, you should be able to see them and click the links. And Chris, where can people find you, mate?
You can find me on most social platforms. I'm mostly on Instagram, but you can find me at Beats by Chris Lee. Yeah, you can find me anywhere with that handle.
Cool. We'll make sure you're tagged in all the posts, and your information will be in the show notes as well, so people can jump on there and follow you if they want. But yeah, that's it from us this week. Hopefully I'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, everyone have a great Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't, have a great holidays. Take some time to relax, chill, see your friends and family, do all that good stuff. And then we'll be back with another show, probably the second week of the new year, I think. Or maybe a little bit sooner. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, we'll see. But for now, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.